Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Viewers, welcome back to the Real Talk Show with me, Amjad Ditta. Before the break, we were talking to Akhlak Rauf MBE regarding his work in dementia. And we had an interesting call regarding signs and symptoms. But I'm going to go straight over to you, Akhlak. And you probably know this, when you've been to Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, centuries people have lived with these conditions and passed. If you went there and talked or preached or try to educate these people, they'd probably think you're talking Chinese, or they'll give you some herbal remedy. Why is it a taboo subject? We don't like to talk about these issues. Is it because we're uneducated? Is it because there's stigma attached to it? Or is it because we generally don't know? So we'll turn to the first thing we know is take him to a mullah sahib, take him to a alim, you know, even though they might say it needs medical help.
I think one of the things that I'm finding in the research, it links in a little bit loosely, but certainly links in with what you've just asked. And that is about how do we manage that situation? Do we go seek medical help? So for example, if my knee's hurting, I'm not going to go to some alim somewhere and say my knee's hurting. You know, in case he says, okay, you know, you don't need to do sajda, I can sit on a chair. You go to the doctor and you say my knee's hurting because you're looking for a medical intervention, whether it's tablets, injections, whatever it might be. When it comes to something that we associate with the mind, the brain, we think mental ill health. And we don't want people to know because they'll say there's pagalpan. And the word pagal is recognised among some of the indigenous English practitioners as well, because they've learnt it from us that we say, oh, so-and-so's pagal. A mental health institution, that's for pagal. And what we're trying to say here is that if you as a community, as a family, as carers, are not going to talk about it, how does the other communities around you, and by that I mean sort of friends, neighbours, relatives, how do they understand what is dementia, what are the symptoms, and therefore how do they cope with them? And it's easy to say, we'll go to some Maulana somewhere, and the Maulana might turn around and say, you know, he's got possession, so then we can just justify that by saying, oh, these bichare, you know, they've been affected with this, whatever. And I think what we're trying to say here is that by all means go look for alternatives. It's not about stopping that. But if there are, you know, things like, you know, for example, there was a BBC article that said, you know, having turmeric in your diet prevents dementia. Well, then why is it across South Asia that has turmeric in its curries have dementia? And there are other things as well about, you know, what you eat and how you might behave. However, what we said earlier on about increasing numbers as you get older relates to the fact that people are living longer. So even if you went back to India, Pakistan, you know, you looked at life expectancy, it would be less than here. And as we look at Britain, we're an aging population, so people are living longer, there's more older people proportionately. And so any illness, any disease that affects older people will increase in sort of proportion really. So there's more people, there's more of a need, and actually people talk about it being as big as cancer in some respects.
Wow. We give obviously we give cancer a lot more limelight, if you can call it that. And some will say rightly so. However, it is a silent killer in some sense as such. You know. However, I want to go on to some of the work you've been doing. I know we've got some footage as well, which we're going to show now to the viewers about this program. It's called Meri Yaadein, I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going for about 11 years, and the whole idea was to try and use real people in those real situations that can help share their story, so that, you know, people in the community, wider community, can see, well, actually, it can affect everybody.
I'm just going to show the viewers the footage now.
Yes, I work for South Asian community, and I work very closely with Meri Yaadein, and this is one of my favorite cafe, and I personally believe very strongly that they're doing a wonderful job to raise the awareness about dementia in South Asian community. These few months I can see the difference is huge, because people, when I saw these people to start with, the people who was hardly speak about their dementia memory problems, they are now opening up more, and they're speaking more about their personal problems, memory problems, and they enjoy coming here, and the Meri Yaadein is making huge difference in their life. If they have any sort of memory problems, they think it's a part of religion, or it's a part of culture, it's a part of old age. This is the biggest challenge my society and Meri Yaadein are facing, to raise the awareness. This is a mental disease. It's nothing to do with religion, or it's nothing to do with culture.
सीखने का भी मिला
आपने हमें अच्छी बातें बताई,
जो हमको महसूस हुआ है, जो भूलने की बीमारी के लिए
रानी बहन ने अच्छी बात बोल दी है।
बताया।
मैं तो 2 साल से आ रही हूँ।
अच्छा अच्छा।
हाँ
तो
जी।
आपको कैसा लगा?
बहुत अच्छा लगा, बहुत अच्छा टाइम पास हो जाता है और फ्रेश भी हो जाता है बंदा।
कई बार हम तो साढ़े नाल ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸ਼ਾਲਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੇਲੇ ਮਾਂ ਉਹ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਵੈਨੇ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤੇ ਵਸਾਰਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਨਾ ਬਸ ਕਈ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਜੀ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਜੇ ਯਾਦਾਸ਼ਤ ਪਾਉ ਚਾਬ ਵਸਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਦ ਗੱਲ ਤੱਕ ਜਲਦੀ ਤੇ ਕਈ ਇੱਕ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਜੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਵਸਰਨ ਬਸ ਅਜੀ ਕੋਈ
मैं पार्ट टाइम काम करनी हाँ पर ज़ाहिर मेरे फादर नहीं मैं कैरियर भी हैं तो उस वास्ते फिर मैं ज़्यादा टाइम बाहर नहीं वंज सकनी हाँ जे फिर मां इन्हों ने फिक्र होनी है कि इन्हें मेरी ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है बजाय इसलिए कि मैं बाहर जुल के कम करा। लास्ट 6-7 साल तो इन्होंने मैमरी ने अजवे कि इन्होंने कोई भी गल तुसी करके 2-4 मिनट तो बाद उन्हें बिल्कुल नहीं याद रहना कि मेरे को तुसां पूछिए या मैं के गल की है। मतलब लॉन्ग टर्म मैमरी जी बचपन या यादां या कुछ जो चीज़ां वो सेफ ने पर जी शॉर्ट टर्म मैमरी बिल्कुल ख़त्म हो गई ने। अच्छा शुरू तो मतलब कोई चीज़ किथे भी रखने वो चीज़ किथे टैक्सी ते बैठ के वञन जी चीज़ हथे विच होए ने वो छोड़ा ने फिर या कोल जी चीज़ होए ने या मस्जिद जाके सिर तो टोपी लावन वो नहीं याद रहनी है इन्हें आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जिथे कोट लावन वो छोड़ के आ रहे हैं हीयरिंग मशीन 1-2 दफ़ा चाहिए छोड़ के आए तो इस तरह नाल प्रॉब्लम फिर इनक्रीज़ होना गया ने इन्हें तो मैं हुण मतलब इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं रह के इन्हें तो डिपेंड किया वजे कि ये कोई काम आपे कर रखने तो उस से फिर इन्हें ज़्यादा टाइम अजे बंदे की ज़रूरत है जिहड़ा इन्होंने नेड़े हो के इन्होंने हर मसले में इन्होंने मदद कर के स्पैशली दवाइयां ने खाने ने बारे हर चीज़ ने बारे इवन के पानी ने भी मैं ना आखनी है जो हुण तुसां इतना टाइम हो गया तुसीं ज़्यादा पानी पीसो जी तुसीं मेडिसिन्स पे किन्ने हो मेरे वालद ने ये चीज़ ज़्यादा हो गई है सिर्फ टीवी वेखने नाल या मेडिसिन्स खाने नाल इस चीज़ा ना कोई हल नहीं तुसीं जे बाहर जुल के बंदियां नाल मिल जुल के कोई चीज़ शेयर करने हो तो वो तुसां ज़्यादा फ़ायदा देनी है।
अपने डॉक्टर की सर्जरी से मुझे लीफलेट मिला जिस पर आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का तारफ़ दर्ज था कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर और तफसील तो आपसे रब्ता करने के बाद फिर 2 स्टाफ जिनमें गजाला और नाजिया थी वो आई हमारे घर में और 2-3 बार जब अपॉइंटमेंट मिली मेमोरी क्लिनिक असेसमेंट होमवुड तो वहाँ ये हमारे साथ जाती रहीं बस चीज़ें कोई इधर उधर रख देती थी याद नहीं बढ़ती थी कभी फ्रिज के डोर खोल दिया बंद ना की या गैस कुकर में इस थोड़ा सा नाब ओपन किया तो बंद करना भूल गए तो बाहर दरवाज़ा जो है वो लॉक करना भूल गए तो इस तरह की चीज़ें मुझे मेरे नोटिस में आई कि इनके एग्ज़ाम में जो है ना कुछ मसला हो गया। काफ़ी इसकी मतलब है सहूलत थी इस वजह से कि पहले कोई आउटसाइड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कोई ऐसी नहीं थी जिसके साथ हम कोई लिंक कर सकें या उनकी कोई मीटिंग अटेंड कर सकें या उनकी कोई सहूलत से फ़ायदा उठा सकें तो इनके आने की वजह से हमें फिर और बाकी जो ज़रूरियात थी उनकी भी मदद मिली जैसे सिटिंग सर्विस वो एक हफ्ते में 1 बार सिटर आती है इनके पास बैठने के लिए और जब इनके सपोर्ट ग्रुप मीटिंग होती है मैं इनको साथ लेकर जाता हूँ उधर भी और ओपन डेज भी और इस तरह दीगर जो इवेंट होते हैं उनको ये अटेंड करती रही हैं।
So, Akhlak, we were just watching the video and it makes it more real, doesn't it? When you see that in action, as it were, and you see these people there talking about their experiences and their cares as well, you know, even though it's immediate family, it just puts everything into perspective saying these people are living with this day in, day out. I think the message of today, from what I've gathered, is just because we're a close-knit community and we love to be there doesn't necessarily mean we're doing the right thing. Sometimes we need to ask for that help.
I think so, and I think if we're going to keep doors closed and not ask for support, and we're part of that responsibility of promoting stigma, and we need to break the stigma by actually being a bit more open and saying, I can't manage, I can't cope, I need some help and support, I want to look after them at home, I want to know what services are out there that can help me as the carer, and I want to know what services are out there to help my loved one, and whatever that might be. So it doesn't really matter what your relationship is that you're looking after. And I think if I can kind of bring that back to what we're trying to move on with, if that's okay, is that whether it's about support from organisations like ours, and you know, so that we work for the local authority, but people can come through to us and we will try to signpost. And there are partner organisations that we work with locally as well. But nationally, there are also organisations like Alzheimer's Society who have lots of branches in lots of cities, particularly the main cities. You can always go to them and talk to them. Some cities will have language support, some obviously won't. But particularly, I think if people are interested in some research, so two things that are an option at the moment is the University of Bradford are doing a couple of research programmes that people can get involved with, particularly if you're a current carer or if you are an ex-carer, so if you've been looking after somebody.
We've just got a call waiting, Akhlak. We'll go to the caller, please. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Welcome to the show, sister. You've got a question?
I've got short-term memory problem, but I've got another long-term illness with epilepsy. But we've got a family history of dementia. Can this memory problem be linked with the dementia, or is it the other one that you just said, maybe one-off?
Yeah.
I'm getting short-term memory problems regular.
Okay, thank you. I must stress, Akhlak is not a doctor, he's not qualified to give any medical advice. From his experiences, please keep watching the show and he will answer them. Akhlak, we'll just answer the question whilst for the sister.
Well, I think, sister, the short and the long of this really is that go back to your GP, tell your GP what's happening and how you feel, and then let them have a look at that. Because it might be a side effect of some medication, I don't know. But, from your voice, it doesn't seem like, you're an older person. And if that is the case, which I'm sure it will be, then I would very much doubt that you're having delirium. But I think if you go back to your GP, just as you've said to us, you're really worried and you want to have it could be some counselling type of support to put you at ease, or whether it's about looking at your medicines management for epilepsy, and that might take things off.
I want to ask you a question now. It's a personal question, and I know what my opinion would be on this. Us as a community have always been brought up by morals, values, ethics, and saying don't challenge someone in a profession. If a doctor says this is what's happening, this is what's happening, maybe we need to stand up a bit more and say, doctor, can you do a bit more for us, please? I know what you're saying. However, I've seen my dad, I've seen my mum deteriorate. This is not what he's like.
Yeah.
Do you know, should we have a bit more backbone, if you can call it that? Because we've always been brought up with that, haven't we?
That's right.
Never question him.
And I think it's not just how we're brought up, it's also about what's been expected. So our first generation, for example, has always been seen as they're very polite, not argumentative, what we might call yes people, that they'll accept things and they won't challenge things. But I think from, in terms of what you just asked, Amjad, there's a fine line for me between being rude, arrogant, and being assertive. If we see something is not right, we should be assertive, and we should, there are processes, things like putting a complaint in, using what's called PAL service from the local health institutions at the moment, the clinical commissioning groups. So a PALS officer would help you manage that complaint. I would never advocate somebody going in to be rude, but if you feel that service is not good enough, you have the right to take it to various stages, and you should pursue that. Because at the end of the day, we are all taxpayers, we pay taxes to have the NHS that provides those services.
No, keep going. We're not all taxpayers, but the majority are. Well, we should
majority
the subject. We'll come on next week.
The majority of us contribute, whatever way, shape or form that might be. And actually, it doesn't really matter whether people contribute or they don't contribute. The welfare state in this country is about helping people to look after each other and look after their loved ones and the families. Health services are no different, and health service includes social care. I know, for example, from some of my colleagues that they don't always understand how communities work. And so they might say, well, this family doesn't want any help because they look after their own. Whereas my take is, this family doesn't want any help because they are thinking, if you put their loved one in a care home, let's say, then that environment might not be right. The people speaking that language might not be right. The pictures on the wall might not be right. Will they have some space to be able to, either read their prayers or have some quiet zikr time or something? If those things are not built into their care package, then of course families are going to be frightened. And if you're frightened, you're not going to access services.
And the work you've done, because we wrap it up slowly now, is how do you measure your success? I'm really sceptical about using figures, ticking boxes, quotas. Yeah. I'm not interested in that, but surely, there must be people coming up to the community and saying, that show that I watched, or that input you did, or the workshop you ran for us, it's really helped me. Yeah. As this show will help a lot of people out there. Do you measure these sorts of things? Because surely, like with everything, the organisational funding, etc., etc.
Yeah. Well, if we put those kind of measures to a side, whether it's about how many ticks you've got, how many people you've worked with or supported. If you just leave those to a side, my success measure is whether or not you are making a difference. And that difference is, even if it's one family, if it's one individual that's been helped, then that is a success. However, we live in a real world which is looking at how we have our sort of, what do they call them, economies of cost, you know, what do we put in as to what we get out. I think, you know, the success for us is 11 years on, we are still working on something that was only set up for 2 years. And not only that, but we've helped Leeds set up something similar. I think Oldham have got something similar going on. There's some work going on in Birmingham. There's an organisation which is doing some national work called Tied Together in Dementia, and that isn't about BME communities. That's general carers. You know, I work directly with them. We're doing some work. We're trying to get influence through policy in Public Health England, so that where decisions are being made about supporting the different communities or supporting communities, we're saying don't forget these communities of interest. And for us, that would be the BME communities, irrespective of what your language background is.
And I think that's an important message, because dementia doesn't look at if you're black or white, one leg,
No.
whoever you are. It affects everyone, just like cancer, just like any other illness. So these support services available are from any walks of life for you. So if anyone is, any viewers watching thinking I can relate to this, how do they contact you and what sort of offer of support do you give them?
I think the basic contact really to give is, if somebody has access to the internet, then if you have a look at www.meriadain, so it's MERIYADAIN.co.uk, or failing that, I'm sure if you just put in Akhlak Rauf, then lots of links kind of come up, and then look out for Meriadain. From that, if you get in touch, because there'll be a link for, you know, through email, whether you're interested in some research, whether you're interested in looking at what services, then inshallah we'll try to guide you from there. And then if we can see what city you're from, we'll see whether we have any connections where we can perhaps put you in touch with people.
Thank you, Akhlak. Where next for you then from this? How long is this project? Is it a project? Is it a personal venture? What is it?
It's mainstreamed. What I'd love to do, if I'm honest, is to take it back to some of our, shall we say, the developing world, because dementia, like lots of other things, is very much seen as being dealt with by the developed world. So, you know, America, Australia, Britain, you know, Western Europe. I think there is some space where we need to look at the communities like India, Pakistan, like the Middle East, where those communities should also have a social campaign, if you like, to look at things like dementia-friendly communities, accessing information, getting services right, so those older people can get benefit too.
Akhlak, we could keep going on. You know, it's a very touching subject. Thank you so much on behalf of IQRA TV for coming and being part of the show and informing our viewers. Viewers, there you go. You've had a snapshot from Akhlak Rauf regarding dementia. He's given you details where you can contact him. Inshallah, we'll see you again next week, same time, with a different subject. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.